Good evening. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to this episode of Sisters of Legacy. We are thankful that you chose to come in the building. I'm going to go ahead and run this intro and we'll be right back. All right, and we are back. Thank you guys for coming in the building. So, as usual, I'm going to introduce everybody to my right. We have the beautiful Tangela Terrell.
Evening, everyone.
And right beneath her, we have Katrina Taylor.
Hi.
And our awesome guest this week is Shanetta McNair.
Hi.
And of course, me, I am Samantha Walker. And we welcome you again to Sisters of Legacy. So, okay. As usual, I always think of, things that are going on, or at least things that I see. And that's kind of how we come up with the topic. So, I see and hear a lot of things about, millennial women or, the women in 2020, how they're so different from um, women of past. I don't know how you would say that without being offensive. But so tonight we're going to talk about old fashioned or traditional women versus a new age woman. And then we'll talk about the differences, the similarities, and of course, where we feel we fit in that spectrum or which parts we identify with. I did send this wonderful topic to the ladies. So hopefully one of them is going to kick it off and start it off for me.
I'll give it a go. So when I thought about this topic, one of the first thing that came to my mind is that, despite the age, genetically, women are women. And we've operated in some of the same functions decade after decade. I think as time has changed and more opportunities become available, I think you see women operating in different roles. Um, so you have your traditional, in the sense that, if we think about our parents and our grandparents and great grandparents, most women fell in a certain category. They're typically homemakers, um, catering to the needs of their family, their husband. And nowadays, you have women who are a lot more ambitious, who are looking to um, not only thrive in business, but to own businesses. But that's not to say, that the home life is, lacking. But there seems to be in this day and age a focus on the career woman, the entrepreneur, the woman who is, moving and shaking even in the community. So the question, one of the questions that I had is, how does the new age woman balance it all? Is it possible to balance it all and keep some of the same principles that, maybe our grandmothers and great grandmothers held close to their hearts?
Oh, okay. That is a great question. So I'm gonna let Trina answer first. So you have, because you're an entrepreneur, you have a fairly new business that you started. You have children. You know, how is that for you? How is that dynamic?
I mean, it's just, it's a balancing act, You can't, I think Michelle Obama she made a statement saying that you can't have it all at the same time. So you can have it all, but not all at the same time. So it's like at some point something, something may be up, something may be down. You got to give more, a little bit more to this, a little bit less to that, or whatever. So it's just trying to balance it. Um, I know when I was working in as an attorney, and I had to put a lot of time into that, but I had to balance it with, being there for my kids, making sure they got everywhere, So it turned out that I made a little less money because I had to take a more flexible position. Um, yeah, it's just really about balancing, you know.
Okay. I mean, so I'll say this, like, so I think about in terms of myself, and like I said, the traditional woman, back, let's just say maybe like in the 80s, a lot of households were two-parent households. You had two parents, or somebody was there when you came home from school. There was somebody home, whether it was your mom or whatever, there was typically somebody home. And then I feel like in the 90s is where, the whole latchkey kid dynamic, started to come into play. And I think it kind of gave women an easy out to kind of get outside of the house, because it's kind of like the law said it was okay for you to let your kid come home, by themselves. And so it gave women an opportunity to venture more outside of the home to work. And then, by like 2000, it was like, get married for what? A lot of people were really like, marriage wasn't really at the top. It was kind of like, I could do it on my own. And, I don't really need a partner. I don't need to have a two-family household. Women were doing it by themselves. And I look at where we are now, and I don't even really know how to categorize it. Like, I listen to women, and I'm not saying me personally, but a lot of times, I see people and everybody, they're talking about their businesses and what they're doing and what they're going after, and they're chasing this and they're chasing that and they're chasing this. And sometimes I don't feel like there's a lot of focus put on, like you said, Tangela, catering to the needs of your family anymore, or the needs of your children anymore. Like, even in my kids' school, we are pretty active. Well, prior to COVID, we were pretty active, in their schools, but there weren't a lot of parents there, mothers or fathers. I mean, naturally, there were some parents, but when you have like 500 kids at a school and you get maybe 50 parents, that come to the meetings or whatever, it's like, it makes you look around and think like, where, where are the parents? Like, I don't know, where are we? Like, are we showing up in our children's lives? And then I see kids out in the streets, and kids don't have a whole lot of respect anymore. Like, if you was maybe somewhere doing something you have no business, and let's say maybe you said a curse or something, if you saw somebody's parent, typically it was like, oh, I'm sorry, oh, excuse me, or whatever. But kids don't have that anymore. And I wonder, is that because, with all the new age and all the balancing, like, are we balancing, like, is that affecting our children? Shanetta, you work in a school.
Mhm.
So, I know you see the lack of parental involvement.
Definitely.
Right.
Definitely.
Um, from work life to even home life, I think that I kind of sit on both sides of this topic. Um, Work life and seeing how parents are a little bit disengaged, and how they just kind of sometimes are over it and they're just kind of like, this is that person's job, this is that person's job. Let me go do my job. I have a job. I have things, I have bills to pay. So I have stuff to do. I don't have time to be disengaged and disinvolved. There are people to do that. And the people who do that are the people who, like, whether it's the teachers or whether it's, the babysitter, the daycare, whomever, those are the people that need to be involved with the taking care of and the teaching and the raising of the kids. So while I want you to teach them math, science, and social studies, I also want you to teach them manners when you have them too, because you have them longer than I do. So, like, you want them to say thank you, teach them that.
Mm.
um, and that, I think that's the attitude that you do get. On the family side of it, I've been both. I've been the working mom and I've been the stay-at-home mom. I've been the mom who owns and runs a business, and I've been the mom who, works for somebody else. So I'm not on my own time or my own schedules, and I have to kind of be somewhere at a certain time every day and be on their time. During my years as a stay-at-home mom, um, my focus was my family. And it was a balancing act even then, being a stay-at-home mom and still being there because I don't know, there were just kids everywhere. So like balance all the kids. But it was definitely a balancing act, being that traditional mom, making sure everybody got where they were supposed to be, making sure they all had, meals, packed lunch, or the things that they needed. Nothing should be missing because you're home, you're here, you're with them. Um, but I never stayed at home. That was the odd part. Like, I was never at home. I was always gone somewhere with somebody. So they called it a stay-at-home mom, but I was always out in them streets with them babies, like doing stuff. We were at, like, I mean, I can remember I used to call my big stroller the Cadillac stroller, because it was a big one. So I would get the Cadillac stroller, and we would be at the elementary school with the older kids, volunteering in the parent center, or, helping volunteer in the classroom with a baby on my head. And I was still kind of that involved and going to the different things and activities at the schools, whether it's a concert or an awards presentation or whatever, just to show my kids that I was there and that, somebody would show up for them no matter what. And then there was those occasions too where I needed to show up to let you know I will show up.
Right.
So you kind of had both sides of it. And then at a certain point, I decided that it was time for me to go back to work because my family needed it. We needed more income. And I had to find a way for my job not to only be a daycare. So that was an interesting balancing act too, because I needed to make enough money to where it didn't all pay for taking care of those kids that I could have been staying home to take care of. So I've done kind of a little bit of both. And that side of it, yeah, it's a true balance act then, because then you're kind of like, what time is it? Can I go to sleep now?
I have a question.
Okay.
So one thing that I do admire about these young up and coming business women or business savvy women is the fact that they go for it. And I just kind of want to pose, this question to you and you all in the viewing audience. Do you ever feel guilty for wanting to pursue something or a career or having ambitions for yourself?
I have.
So what do you do with that? You want to go for things that you have, even if it's ministry, certain things you can't do because you have responsibilities. So, while I admire the ones that can, as I say, hustle hard, you know, um, sleep when you're dead and all that. That's just not the reality for a lot of people. So, how do I overcome, the guilt of, not being the perfect mommy and wife and still wanting to, have some ambitions of my own?
Well, I'll say like, by the time I moved back to New York when I was pregnant with Alexis, and I had her early, she was in the hospital for like 6 weeks. She got out of the hospital. I went to work maybe like a week or two later after having, a preemie and after her getting out the hospital. And it was so hard for me, like those first couple of months. Like I felt so bad for leaving her, to go to work. And I already had AJ. So, both of them were in daycare. And for a long time, like I did feel bad about it. But at the time, it was like one of those kind of necessity things. Now, there were several things outside of working a 9 to 5 that I'll say, I guess I did kind of sacrifice those desires at the time because, it's like, okay, well, I can go ahead and go to work because there's a need for that. But like, there wasn't a lot else outside of work. You know what I mean? Like, I think sometimes I think you just have to look at your priorities. I mean, it's great to be ambitious, and if you can swing it and make it work, and I think it's a great thing. And then sometimes I feel like you just have to put it on the back burner. Like even if it's something that's making you truly feel guilty about not being there for your kids, I think sometimes, and it's just my opinion, I feel like sometimes it's better to push it to the side or maybe just put it down the list of priorities. Because I'll say for me anyway, I've seen kids from all walks of life. I've seen kids that grew up in a 2-family household and their parents worked all the time. I've seen kids that, their parents were there all the time. You just never know what's going to affect your child. You never know how your child's going to respond to you working all the time. Hey, Romello, how are you? He said, great topic. I don't want to miss any comments, then I'll be in trouble. And hey, Elder, when you're a good mother, unfortunately, I don't think it's something you can stay away from. Right. Like, because you're going to put the needs of your children, at the top of the list. And sometimes you do have feelings about that as well. But I think I'll say for people that are married, if you are married, I think it's definitely a conversation that you have to have with your significant other. Like, okay, I'm going to do this and work and whatever, and I'm going to put this to the side. But in a year and a half or in a year or whatever, or when the kids are, school age, a little bit bigger, I need your agreement that I'm going to be able to go after this. You're going to support me and I'm going to be able to hit this hard because this is my desire. And unfortunately, when you're not married and you have children, you have to find another way to be able to parent and go after your goals. But unfortunately, sometimes I feel like that sacrifice has to come up. Like you're going to sacrifice or you're just going to wait till years down the line to see how it affects your children. And I know, like, I never want that to be my story. Like, they're like, oh, well, I'm like this because you wasn't. Like, that's, I feel like no amount of success would be worth hearing that statement from my children. Anthony said, create a compromise, right?
Yeah.
That I believe it's not fair to women and could stifle your fire. Absolutely. But also, as a woman, let's be honest, like we are in control of our bodies. And I know you can say whatever you want. If you don't want kids, I feel like you shouldn't have them. And listen, this is purely Samantha speaking. because to be honest, to be a parent, there is some level of sacrifice that's going to come into play. So, while people always ready to jump over in the sack, you got, you got to take a minute, cool your fire, and think about what comes with that, because children are a responsibility. He said, you have to do the best with what you have. There's never enough time. You're right. There's never enough hours in a day, seem like enough weeks in a year. It always seemed like there's something that requires your time.
Mhm.
I think mommy guilt is real too. And I think it's something that any good mom experiences, where you're like, well, even when you're like completely dedicated and completely committed to like every waking moment that your child has, there's going to be something that you're going to sit back and be like, oh, did I do that good enough? Did I spend enough time? Did I say the right thing?
Right.
Did I give them enough hugs? Did I give them enough kisses? Did I
Right.
do this? Like, we all experience that, because what we want in our heart of hearts is what's best for our babies and what's best for our families. And at the end of the day, we just kind of experience those feelings. And I think that's where you kind of just have to realize that there are some things kids will be okay. You show them that you love them, you tell them that you love them, you make sure that they have the things that they need. No, you can't work, 24 hours a day and not ever spend time with them. But you kind of have to set up schedules to where you commit to certain things. Like for us, for instance, now we have one kid left in the house, but his sporting events are not negotiable for me. I don't care if he gets to play the entire game or if he gets to play for 2 seconds of the game or if he sits on the bench. I'm going to be there and I'm going to be his biggest fan, his biggest cheerleader. And you're going to think that he's the number one star player on the team based on his mom being his supporter, because that's non-negotiable for me. Now, no, I may not make it to something that's in the middle of the school day that he's participating in because I have to be at work. But that's where you kind of call on your village of other moms. Last year, he had an awards program in the middle of the school day. And I'm like, are they still seriously doing that in high school? Like awards days in the middle of the school day? But okay, sure, you guys. I can't come. I have to go to work. But I had a friend who she doesn't work the same hours. She's home during the day and she works in the evening. So she was able to send me all the pictures. She was able to make him take pictures holding his certificate up so that I could have my mom pictures. So you kind of have to use what you have and use, like, we can't isolate ourselves and have this mom guilt to ourselves when there's a community of people that we usually have around us that we can solicit for help. So if I can't be there, maybe I can call on, my friend to kind of come do this for me. Last year, every year our boys have a playoff game during the week of Thanksgiving. And so we were torn last year. Do we go to Thanksgiving with our family out of town and leave our kid here for a big football game by himself? Like, what do we do? And I made the hardest decision for me at that time was, we're going to leave him home and we're going to go to Florida. So we left and we went. And so for Thanksgiving, he was the only one he wasn't the only one not with us, but he wasn't with us for Thanksgiving for the first time in his life. He had a ball. He was with one of his football friends at their house. And me, I had all these feelings. Like, I think I even cried over it. Like, I had all these emotions and all these feelings. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm leaving my baby for a holiday. I can't be doing this, but I really want to go. And like, I mean, having all these emotions. And then at the end of the day, he was like, oh, I had a great time. Like, experienced something different family for Thanksgiving. And we made it back in time for his game on Friday. So sometimes we have to, like, we put that mom guilt and pressure on ourselves, and half the time kids could care less. They be like, yeah, I know you love me. Goodbye. Go have your fun. Go do what you're going to do.
Now, Romello said, I've seen women be resentful of their decision. Yeah, it's something I'm sure can happen. Okay. All right, Romello. Well, thanks for coming in. Yeah, I mean, let's be honest, there's several decisions we make in our life, and sometimes we look back and we're resentful of something that we've done. So I don't think parenting is any less, or deciding to even become a parent. Sometimes, in the moment you think it's a good idea. And then, once that baby stop bouncing and then he running and jumping and sliding and you like, I don't know what I was thinking. I mean, it took me 10 years to have children. So for 10 years, like especially when it got past like the 7-year mark, every year I was sick. Like when winter's over and spring start and you go out and everywhere we went to, like all I saw was pregnant women. Like I was sick with grief, like every year. Anthony was trying hard to get me to snap, but every year I went through it. And now sometimes I look at my 13-year-old and I be thinking, what was I thinking? Like, what was on my mind that made me want this so bad? So, I guess you can become, you said, sometimes, you can become resentful, but I think, you have to be honest with yourself too about the decisions that you make, whether it's
For me, I've never felt the resentment, but I don't think I understood the magnitude of the responsibility. Is my husband and I waited almost 3 years into our marriage before we had our first, and we often said we could have waited a little while longer. But for me, I just didn't know. I knew the responsibility, but I just didn't know the emotional. Just having somebody that you literally think about all day, and is she eating, is she happy, is she scared, is she lonely, and have all of these emotions. And then the pressure of for me, I have 2 girls. I want to present a certain image to them because I want them to I don't want them to not try for something because they never had an example.
right.
So, then that's another layer of guilt and pressure, trying to be something, trying to be this perfect person to them when, I remember my oldest daughter said, I made a comment to her. I said, Zeta, mommy want to make you proud. And she said, you already made me proud. And I lost it, because I'm like, I haven't done anything to make you proud. I was like, I'm already proud of you. But it's kind of, I often wonder, like, did my mother and grandmother, did they feel, all of these emotions that I feel on a daily basis, just trying to reconcile who I am as a woman, who I am as a wife, who I am as a mother, and all of the other roles that we play. It sometimes it can be overwhelming.
As parents, we both play a part in raising kids, so we discuss our purpose.
I agree with that, AD, but I think for me it's different when it's
and we went to
me with the girls, because my husband, he helps, he's a integral part in their development and the protection, but I'm their example.
Yeah.
So even beyond, raising them, teaching them, training them, the right thing to do, they're going to get their idea of womanhood from me. So that, if we had a son, he would get his identity as a young man, as a boy from his dad. So sometimes I share these things with my husband, and I think he understands, but he don't quite get it. Some of the good, because he'd be like, they'll be all right, so he could care less, if their little feelings hurt about they didn't get a hug, a third hug for the night. And I'm like, no, I got to give them a hug every time they ask for it, or if they want my attention, I have to give it to them every time. And he's, more like, they'll be all right.
Yeah, but I think that is definitely like a mother thing though. I think a lot of times we put a lot more pressure on ourselves. I don't know why. We put I don't know. We put a lot more pressure on ourselves, than actually our children, have expectations for. Like, my daughter, if she could hug me every minute of the day, she would. And I've gotten to the point where I understand, like, I feel like now I'm helping you establish boundaries. We working on your boundaries because, to help her understand that sometimes, it's different times for different things. Sometimes you got to back up. But, like there was a time when I felt pressure, it's impossible for us to get it all. A lot of times I felt bad. Like I said, like I wasn't hugging her enough, but like I realized it's never gonna be enough.
No. Yeah, that's
It's really, really never enough because they're just kids, and it's a lot that they don't get. So yeah, I think sometimes we add more pressure to ourselves. I do believe that you can, parent effectively and go after your dreams. I just think sometimes with everything else, it's about timing. You have to know there's a time and there's, a time where things fit. And then sometimes, right now just isn't the time. And then two, knowing your children. Because like my son, listen, if that boy don't see me most of the day, he fine with that. He gonna eat. He gonna do what he do in school. And if he can play a video game or watch a video game for hours, he's fine with that. He'll in the morning, good morning, mommy, I love you. And then maybe at night, good morning, mommy, I love you. And if I'm lucky, in the middle of the day, I might get a hug from him. And he's fine. He doesn't need, anything more than that. But my daughter, she needs a lot. So I think sometimes, with us going after our dreams, we have to decide, the best time, like with our children, like what stage in there. He said, y'all add that pressure to us too. Right. What stage, in your child's development, are they at? Like, are they at the stage where they really need you right now? And
right.
So, being there should be important. Or are they really at the stage where a little independence would be good for them? And so, you can start to step away and do something else. And he said, y'all add pressure to us too. Yeah, I will say I do that sometimes with Anthony, with his son. Like, cause as much as I say to my son, sometimes it really feel like it. I don't even think it go in one ear or come out the other. I think it go like another head and just miss his ears. So sometimes I am like, could you talk to your son? No, you didn't talk to him enough. Did you say something this morning? Did you say something last night? Well, I think you should say it again in the middle, in the middle of the day. And I think, sometimes, yeah, because we're supposed to lean on you guys. Look, I need the reinforcements. I need you to say something. I need you to do some more. So yeah, I can imagine we probably do add a little extra pressure.
I know I do. I'd be like, hey, get your son, get your kid.
Right. But having that partner does make it easier sometimes for us to be able to step away and do some extra things. That's kind of y'all job. Look, what you say? Listen, especially when it comes to boys, it's a different relationship. They need that. So yeah, that pressure is gonna be there. And I don't think it's meant as to pressure you. I think it's just, we need to do more. So, do y'all hear an echo too?
A little
bit.
Oh, well, you didn't tell me how to fix it because he texted me to tell me there's an echo. I hear it, but I don't know what I'm supposed to do to fix it. Listen, we just gonna keep talking. I definitely feel like though, I don't know, like in the past, I think, and I know it's probably about to sound really bad, but I think women were a little, here we come, women were a little better at it, at the, I don't think because of society back then, it was like this was your only role, like this was the only expectation, of women back there was to stay home, take care of your kids, and take care of your house, take care of your family. Like there weren't a whole lot of, I don't feel anyway. I don't feel like the expectation for women was what it is today. Now they want you to take care of your kids. They want you to be an entrepreneur, lead the revolt, support the man. It seems like the expectations are a lot more now, and then unfortunately, I don't know what's going on. I'm sorry. I'm about to fire him again. I gotta put this in my ear.
Yeah.
These little ones?
Yes.
I don't like these.
That's the only one they got. That's what I got left.
What's wrong with those?
Not working.
Okay.
All right. Put you in.
I don't like these.
I know. And then
It's still
you have to
like
mute.
an echo.
You have to mute somebody.
The sound is still bad. Okay, I'm sorry. I can't wear those. I can't wear stuff sticking in my ears like that.
Okay.
All right, I'm sorry, guys. But I will say, I think the expectations, now are a little different than they were for, let's just say, women in the 1980s. Nobody really expected. Is he doing that to me? See, that's not nice. I'm sorry, I can't do it. I just feel like now, the expectations are different, and then maybe it is the ambition level. Maybe now it's like, I want to do that too. Like they doing that, I want to do that. I want to have, this, and I want this for myself. So I guess it does increase,
And then too, there's a lot more options for us than it was back then. I mean, Lord delay is coming. Come January, we'll have our first female vice president of the United States. So even, seeing that, the new age woman have more aspiration. There's a lot of different sectors, to pursue. Back in the day, everybody pretty much kind of did some of the same things. The households were very similar to each other. But
Right.
now, like you mentioned, you have dual parent household, single parent household. You have a lot of different what may seem as options as far as career paths and
Why are you on my screen?
Okay.
Sorry for that terrible interruption.
Tell everybody to turn the speakers down.
Okay, how do I turn mine down? Is it possible maybe everybody could turn their speakers down just a little bit? I don't know. Maybe yours was too loud. Okay, I'm sorry, guys. It's just I know the way. I don't know what he's doing. Don't worry, he's gone because he. Like I said, my internet has been really weird this weekend. We having all sorts of kinds of difficulties. So he's trying to assist me. I'm sorry, guys. Be patient with us. We're working through some difficulties. But yeah, you're right. I guess the options are very different. It's technical difficulties. Yeah, the options are different, I guess, now for women. There are more options, and I still think you still have to there's gonna be a sacrifice somewhere. I feel like if you can just drop a kid and just there's no your lifestyle does not change, then for me I would definitely question your parenting. Because even like the last year or whatever, when I was working, there was one time I was talking to somebody and I started crying because they was talking about the fact that now I'm working, like the schools start acting all stink. They got you so used to seeing Anthony all the time because I was at work. It's kind of like everything just kept going without me. And don't get me wrong, like that's the way it's supposed to be. But I feel like I was missing everything. Like as a mother, I'm not doing something right because I'm missing everything. Everything that was happening, I had to work. And even having him be able to go to everything, it still made me feel out of place as their mom. It's also a different time.
That too.
Yeah, like
I have some questions
okay.
for you ladies, just as far as the new age woman, traditional woman type thing. So if you guys just, all right. So just looking at kind of the new age things that's happening, do you guys knock before you go into your kids' bedrooms?
No.
Knock on the door in my own house?
I'm just asking. That's one of the things. That's a new thing.
Oh, okay.
Knock on the door.
Uh-uh.
I'm walking in. And you better not try to lock your door.
Right. I done took the door off the hinges. I mean, my
I
kids
have
are still
taken the door
young.
off the hinges.
You say you have?
I have taken the door.
Right. See?
Yeah,
In my
I have
house,
literally taken a door. You don't get a door.
in my house, there's no locking the door. You can close your door. I'm gonna knock, but it's gonna be knock, knock, walking, because I'm gonna give you a chance to just cover if you happen to be undressed. So you got 2 seconds to throw something over, and I'm coming in. But apparently, there's a new thing where people, respect their kids' privacy. And what do you feel about respecting your kids' privacy?
What privacy? I
But
mean,
that's the new age.
right. Well, again,
Privacy.
well, I don't know how much privacy, like, I mean, maybe if my kids were like 17 or whatever, I might consider giving them a little space, and that would really be based on their behavior. You know what I'm saying? Like if you've presented yourself in a way that I can take your word for certain things, and not be all in your face all the time, then yeah, you would get a little bit of leeway. But I know that's right. But I just off the top of my head, like, yeah, because I think about those kids, that was home making a kill list and going to shoot up a school. I'm just saying they had too much privacy. Or you done built a bomb, in your parents' house. Yeah, like
Exists to an extent. There's
Right,
only so far.
yeah, like those are extreme cases. But
Right.
like I think about those things. What did she say? I'm sorry. I don't like that. It's extremely invasive. Even growing up, I never enjoyed it, never found it humorous. You never enjoyed what? I don't like what?
Or the lack of privacy.
Probably not knocking, walking in.
Michael L. McNair, you get privacy where you pay rent. I mean, like I said, for me, again, if you have had that level of responsibility where I can give you extra space as an older teen, then yeah, there's a good possibility, that you'll have that extra space. But I don't really know about privacy. I just don't. I don't see, like, as a teenager, how much of a private life from your parents that you really need to have. And that's probably just me, and I'm okay with that.
No, I would agree with that. Our youngest is 17, and all of the other 4 are all older, of course, than him, because he's the youngest. And I think privacy exists to a certain extent. So no, you don't have to go potty or go to the bathroom with the door open or anything like that.
Right.
Like seriously, like I can walk into any room that I want to walk into because we have rules, we have things in place. Like my kids, privacy, even like with their cell phones, I will go through a phone at any given moment. And I mean, when I say go through, I mean, I'll go through your pictures, I'll go through your text messages, whatever. If I feel like I have a reason to go through your things, I'm going to, because I'm your parent and I need to know what you're into. And what you're into, I'm going to find it in your room, What you're into, I'm going to find it in your book bag. What you're into, I'm going to find it in that cell phone. So if there's something that, and it doesn't mean that we, like, you know, as parents, we do all we can, we invest all we can,
Right.
but there's still things that kids get into that you need to correct and you need to catch it before it goes too far.
Right.
So if I need to go through your phone to catch something or to figure out something, and not because I don't trust you, because there's building of trust too. When
Right.
you do something crazy and I realize, okay, wait, he's saying crazy stuff, she doing crazy stuff. Let me check out what's been going on in the last couple of weeks. And I can kind of look through stuff and say, oh, okay, I see what you've been getting into for the last couple of weeks. Let me deal with this real quick. Let me deal with that real quick. Let's have a talk. Let's have a conversation. So I think that it's not just there is no privacy, but it's that, like, we have to keep watch over our kids. And if we're all knocking on doors and waiting on them to let us know when we can come in the house that we pay mortgage and rent, I'm walking in. You better be dressed.
It's teaching boundaries. Teaching boundaries to who? Yeah. Ask God, is it a sign for it to annoy you, to encourage you to leave? Really, Anthony? It's too right. So we can guide you. You know, again, like I said, if I feel like if you presented yourself as a responsible child, you may get some leeway. But yeah, I'm if I feel the need to come in or look at something, one, I'm not gonna hide it. You're gonna come sit here while I'm going through your phone.
Yeah.
You know, because I want you to understand what's happening. Like,
Yeah,
you know,
I pay that cell phone bill and I'm not sneaking to go through your phone. Come here. Come
Right.
give me my phone so I can go through it.
right. Because you know, you're right, to teach you boundaries. Because you need to understand that I'm only gonna allow you to go so far. You know, that do you still have this safety net? And I'm gonna make sure as your parent and be that safety net, like you said, Shanetta, you know, that I can catch it before it goes too far. I mean, you know, listen, being a parent can be a hard job. And sometimes, you know, you make a decision that a lot of times is in the best interest of your child that they may not like. But it comes with the territory. It just is what it is. But, you know, everything should come with communication. So, yeah, if I feel like I need to check, I'm going to check. You're going to watch me check. And then we're going to talk about why I feel like I needed to check. You know, why does this have to happen? Why can't you have so much space? Because you're not doing right. You know,
Right.
unfortunately, it only takes a half a second for something to go awry. And then as a parent, you know, God forbid you sitting in a police station saying he's been hanging out with who for the last 3 weeks?
Yeah.
I never even heard of that.
And they're gonna check their stuff.
Right.
So
Like
they'll search the whatever.
search
So
the
I mean,
internet.
my
So-
kids are still little ones, but
Right.
that's kind of the approach that, you know, we want to have. We teach you now,
Right.
you know, what's appropriate and what's inappropriate. So hopefully we don't have to go there, but we will. You know,
Right.
we look through, you know, all of it, but you know, hopefully they'll be able to earn a certain level of trust. They'll
Absolutely.
be able to earn a certain level of responsibility. And you know, and then you grow from there. But you know, it's not automatically dispersed. It comes with, you know, a testing phase, or you know, proving
So
yourself.
do you ladies think that what you are saying is a traditional old-fashioned way, or is it a new age way that you're dealing with your children in privacy?
Well, listen, I would say I definitely feel old fashioned in a lot of ways. So I'm fine with that. Like, you know, a lot of things that are considered new age are just not for me. Like, it just, I don't feel like, and I think a lot of new age stuff I always say is, unfortunately, like people were raised and they didn't like something their parents did. So they go around and have kids and then I'm never going to do none of this stuff. You know, they throw out the baby with the bathwater. Some of the things that actually in your mind, you know, really kept you in line, you'll throw that out too because you know better than your mama did. My mama did that and I didn't like that. So I'm never going to do that. When in turn, that really taught you some things, as you were growing. So yeah, for me, I'm fine with being traditional, old fashioned, whatever is to be considered. So I'm fine with that title. I'm okay there.
I think it's a mixture of both for me, and I say that because it's hard to be old fashioned or traditional with cell phone.
Oh, yeah.
It's a little different. You have to kind of step into some of the new age with some things that you're doing with the parenting and just with your families because of the time that we live in. So there are some things that you kind of have to step up to the time, and then there are some other things that you do kind of have to hold the value of what was best for you that will work best for your kids too. So it's some things that I probably wouldn't do that my parents did. And then there are so many other things that I probably actually, would do. It just kind of depends on where it falls. But my parents didn't have to deal with cell phones. I didn't have a cell phone
Right.
until I was an adult because they weren't out. So
Right. I have a question. At what age do you cell phone a kid? I'm just curious. Ladies?
mine were the youngest, I want to say he was probably 6th grade, about middle school. But the oldest one flipped out when they got phones in middle school because he was like, "Oh my God, I didn't get a phone until I was in high school." So it was kind of different with each kid because of the times and the things that they were doing. So for me, it depended on what they were doing, where they were going, that kind of stuff. Like, do you hang out with other people? I think you need to have a phone. Whereas my older son hardly ever really went anywhere. So it was kind of like, you're with us all the time. You don't need a cell phone. You'll live.
Trina, what age did you cell phone?
I think it was it was also middle school because it was the sports and the dance and what time are you done? Call me so I can come pick you up, meet you at the field, all that kind of stuff. What time is your rehearsal over? All those things, just getting them from here to there. So having a cell phone was good so that I can know where you are, what time I need to pick you up, all that type of thing. So it was more of a functional thing. At that point, it was like me, right, for me, so I can make sure I know where you are. And plus, it had to find my phone, so I know where you are all the time. I just click on it. Oh, I see exactly where you done moved from where you at. You know what I mean? So it was a good thing.
So Tangela, what age do you plan to cell phone?
I was planning to wait until my oldest was 10, but she did get one for her 9th birthday.
Oh. Yeah.
Yeah.
My niece is 6. She has one already.
I asked a lot of advice from a lot of moms and parents. My husband didn't want to get her one.
Yeah, my son 12 or 13, one of them ages. Yeah. Him.
Not yet?
No?
Does he want one?
Yeah.
He wants one?
Oh yeah.
Oh.
Listen, he's tried quite for the last maybe a couple of years. He wanted one, but yeah, no. Honestly, like one, he does not go anywhere. My son doesn't, really get involved with anything. He's not into any sports or anything like that. So that excuse he does not have. He don't need to talk to nobody at 12. What you talking about? But again, like I said, I will say, like, I'm real old fashioned. I mean, if he was into things where he was away from us, but honestly, my kids don't go anywhere without us. Like, they don't. Like, they used to go to my sister's house, or they might go to my sister's house a little bit, but then you with her. Like, so yeah, it's that I didn't want cell phones for the kids.
He didn't.
And he said,
Issue, like the last punishment we did on one of the kids where we took the cell phones, I think I was in tears. Well, it wasn't a we. First of all, he took the cell phones to put them on punishment. I think I was in tears because I was like, but I can't reach anybody. I need to know if they need a ride home. I need to know what time to pick them up. I need to know. And he was like, are you serious right now? You're really having a meltdown about this punishment? So that was kind of like my new age moment because I really needed them to have their phone so that I could reach them. And it was so hard on me. I think he was saying that it was going to last for like a month. And I think I made it like a week before I was just kind of like, I can't do this.
She said, what about you, Katrina? Oh, she said her kids got cell phones in middle school, you said, right?
Yeah.
Right. Did you have more questions, Trina?
Oh, all right. So these are real quick ones. And this is all new age stuff. So apparently women are going without bras. What's your take? Bra or no bra?
That bra on?
In public, yeah.
It becomes a pressure.
No, this is a real thing. It's just it's a be free thing. No. Oh, I'm just saying.
I'll say this, that's going to be too much freedom. And let's be honest. First of all, a lot of people that's running around without a leash on them is because either they done had them lifted or, whatever. After you done dropped out a bunch of babies, naturally, you don't really want to be out without the girls on a leash. Let's just be honest. And now if you done got them pumped up and, if you done got them lifted or something, or if they small, you might can go ahead and do that. But yeah,
it's a thing. It's a thing.
Not at this size today. What
Get you a bra,
Not
girl,
my
and a good one.
I can't roll like that.
Yeah, it's not. Okay, go
All right,
ahead.
so this is going back. Does anybody still wear a slip?
Girl. No, you didn't. No, Shanetta.
I do. Okay, so let me give you a slip story. So I used to be like a slip protester. I was like, they ain't gotta wear no slip. My dresses are just fine. I don't need no slip. So we had this women's session at church one time where the mothers were doing this teaching. And so one of the mothers got up and she was just teaching and she was talking and she was like talking about how to dress and how to, how to adorn yourself appropriately. And she got on those slips. And when I tell you that as she talked about those slips more and more, I felt like I just started shrinking. Like I was like doing this in my seat, like, and I was like, I'm gonna always wear my slip. So after that, I've been like, I went and bought extra slips and everything. And I'm like, I got like 4 or 5 of them.
Slips?
Yes.
Girl.
I was looking for a slip to
Girl, I can give you all the list of places.
they don't,
to get slips.
yeah. I was gonna say
Do
this sound like-
stairs, Jason Penny's to get a slip.
Let me tell you
I
my
used to go with my mom and my auntie Kessler. Do they still have a Kessler?
Listen, okay, so let me tell y'all a quick, interesting, embarrassing slip story. So I had this, how you go for your college interview? Trina was at Hofstra. I was going to Hofstra, had on a skirt, Church of God in Christ, you put on a skirt, you have a slip. So I'm going to this college interview. I got my skirt on, my slip. And, you get out and they have people out there waiting to, usher you in. There's a bunch of guys. I'm walking to the door and I'm just thinking I'm cute, girl. I'm like, how about I take a few steps and the slip hit the ground? Now, the worst part is, like, I just froze. I just froze and I closed my eyes. So now I got all these guys looking at me, standing there, and my slippers on the ground.
Oh my goodness.
I was paralyzed. How about one of the cutest guys that was standing over there? He walked over to me. He said, "Are you okay?" And I was like, yeah, I'm whispering. He bends down to try to pick it up.
Oh
And
no.
I'm like, no, don't pick it up. Girl, oh my God, I was like, and he's like, don't cry. I'm like, no, don't pick it up, please. It was awful. Oh, after that, I don't think I ever wore a slip again. And that was like 18. I don't think I ever put on another slip after that. He said, I have to slip. I know. It's right. I don't think. He said, listen, it was horrific. It scarred me. They would have to, yeah, you'd have to staple a slip on me for me to put it on. I just won't. Go
That's
ahead, Gina. You got another one?
All right, so I guess we all new age except for Shanetta.
Yeah, see, even I can't go with you on a slip.
I don't wear those slips. Okay, so does anybody cook from scratch?
Some, I'm still getting there.
Okay, so when I say cook from scratch, that means do you do your dough from scratch, your pie crust, like you roll it out, you all that?
Well,
I will not make a box cake anymore.
well,
No
see, I
box
don't
cake?
need.
Oh, look
I
at
will
you.
not make a box cake.
Okay.
I can make a cake from scratch, but I haven't rolled no dough.
I roll dough. I don't like it, but I have.
You roll dough?
I have.
I don't roll no dough. What about you, Sam?
Yeah, I'm not much of a baker, but like I'll make, my own sauces instead of stuff out of a jar, stuff like that. But I'm not much of a baker. The patience and the, all the measuring, I like the eyeball cook. I don't like, I don't like all the measuring. Baking, you gotta be real careful. So I'm not much of a baker. But other stuff, yeah, I cook from scratch.
Yeah. So definitely the recipe stuff is, I would say, kind of new age, because I try to get my mom to tell me how she makes something and I can't get it down. I can't write it down because she took my little this,
Yeah, a little of that. There you go.
a little more of that. What? It got to look like this. Okay, that's not helping mommy. I can't make it like that. So, I'm trying to get her sweet potato pie recipe down. And I have to actually videotape her to get it because there's no measuring nothing, and I'm used to try to, a cup or two of this. No, I can't get it down. But she said, oh, it looked right now. Yeah. It didn't look right. So that's definitely old school versus, as far as cooking. But yeah, I kind of do half and half. Like I'll do some stuff from scratch and then some stuff, like I'll take the box and then enhance upon that. Like my cakes, like I'll add extra butter and extra, you know what I mean? You know how we do with anything anyway. We make it our own.
Wait, so banana pudding. Who makes banana pudding? Nobody?
I know what to do, but
Yeah,
it's not something I do.
Yeah.
You make it, Sam?
From scratch. I was just wondering if y'all make it from the box or from scratch. That's all.
Oh, I don't even know how to make banana pudding. All right, so see, now you ladies are married, but so the new age is, do you shoot your shot? Do you pursue? Do you propose?
Okay.
Oh,
No.
I mean, you heard the progression. Shoot your
I've
shot,
seen it.
pursue, propose. Would you shoot, if you weren't married, would you shoot your shot?
Definitely.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm definitely like, hey. Yeah, that's hey.
Tangela, would you shoot your shot?
Maybe.
If I'm married at
not
the age
that I'm
that
not
I am now, I'm
opposed
just
to
gonna
it.
shoot my shot.
But I'm shy by nature, so I'll just really sit there and hope that he come over to me. But I don't see nothing wrong with it.
See, I think that's probably why I'm still single, because I would not shoot my shot.
See,
I'll smile at you.
See, let me tell y'all something.
I'm gonna smile at you.
This
And I might say,
Katrina,
hey, how you doing? That's it.
listen, this Katrina is very refined because
I did some things to me, child. I don't know.
I see, because the other Katrina was a little more feisty.
Yeah, well, I was young and cute. Now I'm just like, I'm older, let's just say.
What do you say? Drop that.
Okay, so who carries hankies?
Right, now that's real old school.
That's
right
old
there.
school.
Right? Who carries hankies?
Yeah, but proposing, absolutely not. I
Never.
wouldn't, not like in a serious kind of way. No.
Not that this whole, woman get down on one knee.
Yeah, like
Ooh.
I've seen some of these women go way out. If I got to ask you to convince you, like, me and Anthony was dating, I was like, I'm ready to get married, right? Like that. It's like,
Yeah. So what you about to do about that?
right. Now the ball's in your court. We need to get this together.
All right. So are we taking the husband's last name?
Oh yeah.
A lot of people don't. A lot of women,
Well, listen, I mean,
they don't take the husband. They don't feel the need, or if they're establishing their business, then they don't want to take the husband's last name because they
I've heard
already have
that.
their name out there.
Mhm.
well,
You know what I mean?
if you get married in your 40s, right, and you already established, then yeah, something like that, I could see. But I mean, if you in your 20s, then what you get married for? Like, what? I just feel like I don't understand some of the. I want to keep my daddy name. Do you marry your daddy? Like, that's not really. You get married to build your own legacy, not to
Yeah.
continue your father's. He said, "Baby, don't act like you didn't get all of these."
Whatever, sir.
He wasn't even supposed to put that out there like that. Yeah, no. I mean, I think, if you still want, I want to have my own individualism, and I'm an individual. Like, I just think we taken away from, some of the point of being married.
Yeah, and you're building a family, so you should have a family name. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what I think. So, but
Yeah.
that's a big thing. Okay, so this is my last one.
Okay.
You at the cookout. Do you fix your man's plate?
Well, again, I told this my old fashioned thing. So yes, okay. So if it's my family or somebody I know and I've taken him, more than likely, if he don't know the people, I would fix his plate. But if it's not like a necessity, there'll be times he'll fix my plate, but more times than not, I'll fix his plate. I mean, at night I still fix his plate when I cook dinner.
Yeah. I
Does
think
he
it
get the big
depends.
piece of chicken?
Huh?
Does he get the big piece of chicken just because he's the man?
Well, he get the big piece of chicken because he eat the most. so I be trying to make sure, that he's full. But yeah, he eat the most. So I try to make sure. But yeah, not no big piece of chicken. Yeah.
Tangela?
Yeah,
Oh,
especially,
yeah.
especially if we're with his family, because they watch it.
Oh,
They're gonna make sure, because
You fix the plate?
yeah.
and that's precisely why I wouldn't. I know I'm difficult, but like at his family house, yeah, I wouldn't fix his plate. These your people. But if I took him somewhere, like I definitely, would. Like at his family house, I probably would have him fix my plate. Then they all be sitting there being snooty.
Even the whole fixing the plate thing, even that is a little unfair to the woman because I had to fix his plate and the kids' plate. So by the time I sit down to eat, everybody almost done, or everything is starting to get cold. It's like, okay, well, can you take a kid and fix their plate, and I take a kid and fix their plate? But
And your husband gets the biggest piece of chicken? It's a thing.
he
Like,
bought it. Yeah, no.
but I'm saying, like, it's his right to have the biggest piece of chicken, right?
I think it's
I mean, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm gonna let you finish.
for me, it's the respect,
See?
and like but my husband, he doesn't even eat chicken breast anyway, so I get him what he wants. If he prefer the thigh, I'll make sure that he have it. But I've seen people debate on, do you fix your kids' food first or do you fix your your husband plate first? Which one, who should eat first?
Oh, you want me? Is that like
Well, when I was thinking about fixing, plates, I saw that debate online one
Yeah,
time.
I've
And
seen
people,
that
and people was really going in about, no,
And
you
I
fix
think
your
I
kids
think
first.
one like that's a dumb debate. Like
Yeah,
unless you're no, here's my thing,
I
right?
agree.
Unless you have like such a limited amount of food that
Right.
everybody's not gonna be able to eat, it's a dumb debate to have.
It is. Because
Like
everybody gonna eat.
Everybody's gonna eat.
right now, even when we go out to eat, like go somewhere, like when they come for drinks, I automatically order the kids' food. Like because I don't want the kids to wait. I want the kids to be able to go and eat. So at home, even before I make his plate, I go in and feed the kids. Half the time we wait for him to come, come to the table or stop doing something, or get off the phone. So I mean, I just think that's a dumb debate. Unless you only got enough food to feed, like
Yeah.
2 out of 3.
yeah, like you're gonna run out of food somewhere. And then I always think, like, what kind of man is like, oh, you better make sure I eat later for them kids? What? Like, yeah, I always, every time I see that debate, I always think like that is the dumbest, thing. Even if he cooks, he feeds the kids first, like because think the kids, like I don't know. They say, "Thou shalt give thy husband the biggest."
It's true.
He don't even eat the biggest piece of chicken. Why he got? He eats the thigh. He's like, Terrell. Like he doesn't even eat the breast. He
You don't
eats
even eat the breast.
I'm about to say I rarely even cook chicken breast, like. But yeah, no, I mean, I don't ever really think about the size of, whatever. I mean, again, my kids are smaller, so like there'll be sometimes there's stuff and I'm like, make sure, no, don't touch that. That's your father's, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I mean,
Yeah.
again,
Right.
what kind of meals are you making that, oh, we only got one big piece of chicken? You know what I mean? Like, I just think, because I mean, if you're the woman, right? If you made the dinner or you did the shopping, you only bought one breast for the whole house, like that he gotta have the biggest.
Sam, it's a comedian. I think I want to say it was Chris Rock who did a joke about getting the only thing he had in life was he got the big piece of chicken. So it's just a running joke about the biggest piece of chicken. But yeah, I don't the fixing of the plates. I think it doesn't make sense because you're all gonna sit down and eat. Like it doesn't even matter. I don't even understand like who gets it first. We're gonna fix the plates. We're gonna sit down and eat.
With the chicken, sir.
So
He's ridiculous. Yeah, well, like I said, I think I tend to do, a lot of old stuff. Some of the new stuff, like, how that don't, if it ain't broken, why fix it? Some stuff like don't even require that much thought to like, I'm gonna make sure I change this. I make sure I feed my man first. Like, I don't know. Some things are just in the grand scheme of things, like not even really worth the time and energy compared to all the ups and downs your relationship is gonna go through. Some stuff ain't really worth that much energy. That's just my opinion. But like Tangela said, at the end of the day, whether you're old fashioned or you're new age, we're all women. We're all similar in one way or another. We have similarities. We have differences. Those are the things that make us unique. But we are all women. We all come from a parent. We all come from somewhere. We have more in common probably than people ever think to realize. And I think we should definitely focus on our similarities, what makes us the same, the things that connect us, and the things that bring us together. So thank you guys so much tonight for tuning in. We have enjoyed this conversation. We hope that you have enjoyed it too. We will be back next Tuesday with another great topic. So until then, have a great night.